Okay. We're back.
We're fixed. All right.
Okay, so a little bit about us. My name is Asia, and this is Nate.
Hi, everybody. We have some people joining in still.
Welcome, everybody. We're just jumping in right now, so welcome. Nate and I are both realtors here in San Diego, and today together we have a combined 25 years of experience helping people use the VA loan. And we are super passionate about helping military members and veterans like yourselves learn how to leverage the VA loan to buy a home. And we're just so excited to help you guys on this journey. And before we get started, we'd love to get to know a little bit about you. We did already ask where some of you guys are located now, but if you could do us a favor and drop a comment in the chat and let us know what area of San Diego that you're hoping to buy a home in. San Diego or Riverside, if you're looking up in Temecula, whatever area you guys are looking in, drop it in the chat. We're curious to know where you're looking to buy. Are you looking in your area that you're looking in? That you're living in, or different areas? What are you guys thinking about? Don't be shy.
And if you don't know yet, that's fine too. I see outskirts of San Diego, Escondido, Lakeside, Lake Elsinore. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, those are all good areas. Familiar. We've sold in all of those, so familiar with those as well.
Claremont Mesa. Great area. Is that where you're in right now? Is that where you live right now? I know I can talk faster than people can type, so don't worry. No, okay. No. Another one that says outside, possibly outside as far as.
Is that Davis, California, by Sacramento? Yes. Okay. Very cool.
Cool.
I spent a lot of time in Davis when I was younger. My best friend went to college there. Cool. All right. So tonight is going to be simple. It's going to be straightforward. And by the end of this, we're hoping that you'll have a clear understanding of how the VA loan really works. Not the myths, not the headlines that you're hearing, just how it really truly functions in real life. You'll also learn the strategies that we use to help VA buyers position themselves the right way and how to compete successfully for a home here in San Diego. And most importantly, we're hoping that you will walk away feeling confident and clear about what your next step should be when buying a home. And before we go any further, we want to get something out of the way. We are here purely to educate. That's it. There's no course to buy. There's no pitch coming later. No surprise twist at the end. We will not be asking you for any money. And our goal is simply to give you real clarity so you can make smart decisions when the timing is right for you. And if you guys stay till the end, we'll share how you can receive a guaranteed $500 credit just as a thank you for being here and taking the time to really understand the process of the VA loan. You will also have the opportunity to book a one-on-one call with us to speak further about your exact situation if you would like to.
All right. And we do want this to feel interactive, not like you're just sitting there watching a presentation. So if you feel like your camera on, great. If you'd rather keep it off, that's totally fine as well. There's no pressure either way. So it looks like everyone already found the chat box. If you just joined, go ahead, find the chat box, drop a quick hi in there just so we know you're here, so you know how the chat box works. And as we go through this, throw any questions you have in the chat at any time as those questions come up, and we'll respond the best we can. We will also have some time at the end for a full Q&A. So if you would rather just ask it live, you will also have the opportunity at the end as well. Again, the more interactive this is, the more helpful it's going to be for everybody. So if you have any questions, drop it in the chat and we will either answer it on the spot or we will answer it at the end. So, again, before we get started, let me ask you something, just honestly, how you're feeling right now about buying a home. Are you feeling concerned, stressed out, intimidated? All the words I have there on the screen. If so, that is completely normal. That's how most people start this process, especially in a market like this where it's easy to feel overwhelmed by conflicting information and all the headlines out there. So say yes in the chat. And who feels that way? Who feels anxious, stressed out, uncertain about this? Just drop it in the chat so we know what feelings we're dealing with. And if you feel confident, drop that in the chat. I've heard that one too. Yeah. Either way, don't worry, no matter how you're feeling. We're going to address all these. Not confident, neutral. Okay. I've heard those as well. So that's all normal, and we're going to address these feelings tonight. So hopefully we can reverse those into feeling, I guess, confident, excited, positive about it all. And part of what we're going to do tonight is just to simplify this whole thing so it doesn't feel overwhelming. The goal here is to educate and to give you an unfair advantage while you're competing for the perfect home, and to replace any uncertainty you might have with clarity. That way you can move forward feeling educated and ready for the next step in the home buying process.
Over the last 25 years working with buyers here in San Diego, Nate and I have seen the VA loan from pretty much every single angle that you can possibly imagine. And the truth of it is that it has a lot of advantages. And when you know how it actually works, you will see that it is truly one of the most beneficial programs available out there. But it also comes with a lot of myths, a lot of half truths, and unfortunately, just a lot of outdated information that just is not accurate anymore. So that's where the confusion typically starts. So tonight we're going to strip away the misinformation and we're just going to focus on the facts, how it actually works, where it gives you advantages as a buyer, and how to use it the right way. Sound good?
All right. Who's heard some bad things about the VA loan? Like, I won't give examples yet. We're going to go over the myths right now, but usually people have heard a few things like they don't work well, this or that. We're going to go over all these myths, or all the most common ones right now.
Okay. All right, so let's start with the common myths because this is where a lot of the confusion starts. Most buyers don't struggle with the VA loan itself. The struggle typically comes from the bad information surrounding it. We're constantly hearing things like VA loans are weak, they take forever to close, or the appraisals are difficult. And to be honest, guys, this could not be further from the truth. These comments are typically coming from real estate agents who just don't have the experience working with the VA loan. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through what we hear all the time and then look at what's actually true in today's market here in San Diego. And once you see the difference, I think the whole picture is going to change for you. All right, here's myth number one. Sellers won't accept a VA offer. This is probably the one that we hear the most. And here's the reality. In San Diego, sellers do not reject VA offers. What they reject are weak or poorly structured offers. And there's a big difference. If a VA buyer is properly represented, meaning they have a strong lender, a strong agent, their offer has clean terms, and there is clear communication between all of the parties, the financing type alone is rarely the issue. In competitive situations, it's really about how the offer is presented and how confident the seller feels that it's going to close. When the strategy is right, VA offers get accepted all the time. And especially in our experience, that's what we're noticing. So don't listen to the noise out there about VA loans being weaker or that sellers won't accept them. It's just not true. All right, myth number two, VA appraisals are tough. So this one gets thrown around a lot and it tends to scare people more than it really should. There's very little difference between a VA appraisal and any other appraisal for any other loan type. The appraiser is still going to be looking at value. They're still going to be looking at comparable home sales and the overall condition of the home, just like they would on any other loan type. Yes, the VA does have property standards, but they're basically health and safety guidelines, and they're just there to protect you. They want to make sure that you're living in a safe home. And in most normal, well-maintained homes here in San Diego, it's just not the obstacle that people make it out to be. When a deal is structured properly and the home is priced correctly, the appraisal process is typically smooth, and we just don't experience many issues with them like it's made out to be. Okay, myth number 3, VA loans take too long to close. This one also gets repeated a ton, and it makes sellers and buyers nervous for no reason at all. The VA, the reality is that the VA loans, they don't drag out. They don't take longer than any other loan. When the agent and the lender are experienced and the file is structured correctly from the start, the timeline is just as competitive as anything else out there. In fact, we are routinely closing VA loans in as little as 10 days. And I don't know if you guys know, the average is typically around 30 days to close a loan. So 10 days is insanely fast. That's competitive with cash. And that's not because we're rushing them, but it's because we prepare them properly. So closing speed isn't about the loan type. It's about how organized the team is and how well they know the process. This topic and all other confusions around the VA loan really just stem from the experience level of the agent.
All right, we've had a few more people join throughout this. If you just joined, we were going over a few myths about the VA home loan. If you've heard any of these, drop it in the chat. Find the chat there. Just say, yes, I've heard whether the VA loans take too long, that sellers won't take them, that they're bad loans. We've heard it all. I'm always curious to hear what people are hearing these days, though.
Yeah,
So
did any of those sound familiar to you guys? Sorry, Nate.
No, it's okay. Drop in the chat if you heard any of those. You may not have too, and that's fine too. Appraisals, we hear the appraisal one a lot. Like it takes a long time, or appraisals are really weird or hard to do. It's just not the case as long as you know what you're doing.
Yep.
So, but we're gonna get on. We got a few more myths, and we'll get to the good stuff after that too.
Okay. Myth number 4. You need a perfect credit score to use a VA loan. We actually had a question about this earlier today, I think it was. This one, I feel like stops a lot of people before they even are able to explore their options, which is, such a bad thing. But here's the truth. There is no official minimum credit score that is set by the VA itself. So no, there is actually no limit whatsoever. Now, the lenders may have their own guidelines, but the program itself was designed to be flexible and not exclusive. And what matters more is the overall picture. So they're going to look at your income, your debts, and how the whole file is structured. A lot of buyers, unfortunately, count themselves out way too early. So the smart move is to actually look at the numbers and see what's possible instead of assuming that you don't qualify. And that's something that is done with a lender. So don't stress too much about this. We'll walk you guys through all of this later. Myth number 5, you can only use your VA loan once. Okay, this one surprises people all the time. Your VA benefit is not a one and done deal. You can actually use it multiple times over your lifetime. We help clients do this all the time. So if you buy a home and a couple of years down the line, you decide that you need more space or you want to change locations, you just need to either sell the current home or refinance into a different type of loan. And what this does is this unlocks your VA loan eligibility, and it allows you to purchase a new home with the VA loan. This is the case whether you're selling and buying again, whether you're relocating or upgrading into your next home. The benefit is designed to support you long-term, not just for your first purchase. And when you understand how this works, you realize that it truly is one of the most flexible loan programs out there. Okay, myth number 6. You can't buy a condo with a VA loan. This one comes up a ton, especially here in San Diego, where condos and townhomes are extremely common. You absolutely can use your VA loan for condos, townhomes, single family homes, even duplexes, 3-plex, 4-plex. Now, with condos specifically, the building does need to be VA approved. that's where having the right team is going to matter, because we're going to check all of that up front and we will guide you towards the properties that will work for you. We have even been able to get buildings approved on our buyers' behalf. So don't just write it off, but we will guide you guys through that all as well.
All right, so that is all the some of the myths we've heard. Has anyone heard any other myths about the VA home loan, or any negative things about it that we didn't cover? Because we're gonna get into the good stuff now, all the advantages of it. Type it in the chat if you've heard any other rumors, I guess, about the VA loan that you're just curious about, and maybe we covered them all.
We can always cover it in the Q&A. So if you drop it in the chat, then we'll know what you want to talk about and we can go from there.
Yeah. But now we'll get into the advantages of the VA loan.
Yep. Okay. All right. So let's break these down one by one. So the top bullet point there is 0 down payment. That's huge, especially here in San Diego, where saving for a traditional down payment could take years and years, because obviously our price point's a little bit higher than other parts of the US. This is going to allow you to step into home ownership without draining your savings. This is one of the biggest perks of the VA loan, literally 0 down payment needed. It's probably why you guys are here today. There is no other investment on planet Earth where you can invest $0 and make money off of it. I wish I could take advantage of this. So this is really just such an amazing product. Okay. Second bullet point, no monthly private mortgage insurance, which is also known as PMI. You guys have probably heard about this. So PMI is required by any lender when somebody purchases a home and puts down less than 20% down payment, which is going to be the majority of people here in San Diego, or a lot of people anyway. So that alone can save you hundreds of thousands or hundreds of dollars, right? So it can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can save you hundreds of dollars every single month compared to any other loan option. Okay, VA loans also tend to offer very competitive interest rates, which increases your buying power. And on top of that, there are limits on certain fees that can be charged to VA buyers. So the program is designed to protect you, not to take advantage of you. And when you stack all of that together, it's super easy to see why this benefit is just so powerful when it's used correctly. All right, so now let's look at a side-by-side example, because I feel like the numbers tell the story so much better. So if you look here, we've got the VA loan on the left, the conventional loan on the right. We've got the same purchase price for both properties, 2 different loan options, obviously. On the VA side, you're at a slightly lower interest rate, and there's 0 monthly mortgage insurance. On the conventional side, you've got a slightly higher rate and PMI added on every single month. I mean, the PMI alone, if you look at this example, it's $451 a month. That is not a small number. That's a major savings that you're going to have. If you look at the bottom, the monthly payments end up very similar, but you'll see at the bottom the biggest difference. The conventional loan, this is only putting down 5% down payment. What's the total? $37,500. That is your savings essentially, because you're putting 0 down, and that's where the power really shows up. That's keeping your cash in your pocket, and that's going to give you flexibility. It's going to give you reserves in case anything comes up that needs to be repaired down the line. And it really gives you leverage. And in a market like San Diego, that is so important, guys.
All right, closing cost. Who's heard of closing cost? I know a lot of people have heard the term, although I know some people maybe don't really know what they are. I see Angelica's heard of closing costs, adding it to the mortgage itself. We will cover that. That is absolutely doable.
Yes.
It's a great strategy to use to actually come out zero down out of pocket. So yeah, let's just jump right into it with closing cost. Because as a lot of people mentioned, it is an area that people feel a little overwhelmed of how they're going to come up with that money. Now, when you hear these different terms like funding fee, escrow, title, property taxes, those are all closing costs, and that it gets pretty complicated pretty fast when you hear all those terms. Closing costs, what they are, they're just standard expenses involved in a home purchase. So every loan type has them. VA loans are not unique in that sense. So all loans have closing costs. Some of these are going to be lender related. Some are going to be third party services like escrow and title companies. Some are going to be prepaid items like property taxes, HOA, I'm sorry, homeowners insurance, things like that. So when you hear closing costs, that's what people are talking about is that. Now, Angelica brings up a good point, and we're going to cover that uh, pretty much right now, but we're going to cover it at the end as well. So, who usually pays the closing cost? The truth is, it depends. Sometimes the buyer pays, sometimes the seller pays. Every transaction is completely different. Both buyers and sellers, they have their own fees. Traditionally, buyers are responsible for their own closing cost. That said, and as Angelica brought up, we have had some success in getting sellers to actually cover our clients' closing costs. And lately, we've been doing it quite a bit due to the market. And so, what that means is we're actually having the sellers cover the buyer's closing cost on their behalf. Now, there's no guarantee it'll happen, but we will always go to bat for you and negotiate as much as possible in your favor. Now, we may not have that same leverage if there's multiple offers on a home, but our goal is always going to be the same to get you the best terms possible. Now, if sellers aren't able to cover your closing costs, there are other ways of like using different loan structures that can minimize or even eliminate out-of-pocket costs. And we'll walk through all those options with a one-on-one if we end up working together. But like Angelica mentioned, we can get sellers to cover closing costs, and we can even do creative ways with the lender or with your loan to get those included. And again, we can cover that at the end or on a one-on-one if we end up working together.
Okay, so one thing we always like to talk about, especially with first-time buyers, is that there are the costs that don't always get talked about up front, right? So if you've been renting, some of this might be new because your landlord may have covered these in the past. So first off is utilities. As a homeowner, you're usually paying for things like electricity, gas, water, trash, and internet by yourself. Next, you're going to see homeowners insurance. So this protects your home if something unexpected happens. It's also required by the lender. Most people pay it monthly as part of their mortgage, so it's spread out and predictable. There's also property taxes. This is a tax that you pay for owning the home. Again, this is usually paid monthly within your mortgage. And we're going to include it also in your estimated monthly payments when we're working together. So you don't have to worry about that. And then there's maintenance. So when you own a home, there's no landlord to call. There's things that will need to be fixed over time. Big stuff, small stuff, it all comes up. And we always suggest setting aside a little bit each month so repairs never feel like a surprise when they do come up. If the home is in a community with an HOA, which is a homeowners association, there may be HOA dues, and these are regular fees that help maintain shared areas or amenities. None of this on this list, guys, is meant to scare you or be scary. It's just about knowing what to expect. So our goal is to walk you through all of this ahead of time so you feel confident and prepared, not caught off guard.
Does this all make sense, guys? So we just like to bring this stuff up just because it's obvious to some people, but for others it might be the first time you've heard of it. So we like to bring it up just so everyone's aware of some of these hidden costs that may or may not be obvious. And usually it's about 50-50 whether you've heard them or not.
Okay, so now let's address the big question. Are mortgage rates too high? That's probably the number one concern that we're hearing right now. First off, when we look at historical rates, today's numbers are not extreme. They may feel high compared to a few years back when we were hearing about 2 and 3% rates, but historically speaking, they're actually much lower than they have been in the past. In the 80s, people were paying 15 to 18% for their mortgages. And today we are right around 6%. The VA loan has actually dipped into the fives, which is the lowest we've seen in probably 4 years, which is so exciting. And secondly, it's important to understand what the rate actually means. The interest rate impacts your monthly payment, and payments are what really are going to matter to you. So, are you buying a $900,000 home, or are you buying a monthly payment that fits your life? When deciding on your budget, you're really figuring out how much you can afford each month. There is a good chance you won't stay in the home for 30 years, which is how long the mortgages typically go for. And you're not going to be paying the full $900,000 plus that loan interest. Not to mention that homes appreciate in value. It's kind of like a forced savings account for you. Incomes typically grow, and loans can almost always be refinanced. So the key is making a smart move based on today's numbers, not waiting for perfect conditions that may never come. Now, we mentioned that loans can be refinanced. Does everyone know what that means, what a refinance is? Say yes or no in the chat and let us know. And Angelica, you said my aunt did this with her house, so I'm wondering how prevalent it's been. I know it's rare to find any 2.8 rates nowadays.
She's talking about, she asked a question about assumable loans. I said we'll cover that probably at the end here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to cover like rate buy downs as well, Nate, because that will,
Yep.
that's another possibility for getting those rates down that low. So we will cover that during the Q&A.
Great question, Angelica.
Okay, so refinancing is replacing your current home loan with a new one where you get a better interest rate and your monthly payment is lowered. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Sounds pretty amazing, right? So if you purchase a home at 6% today and rates drop to 4%, you are not married to that 6% rate. You can always lock in a lower rate down the line. Does that make sense to everybody? Can you let us know in the chat if that makes sense?
What a refinance is. Say yes if so. All right. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
And if if it doesn't make sense yet, we can cover that again at the end. All right. Here's another question. Is there a requirement to change the percent later? Yes and no. It's relatively easy. Asia, do you want to cover that right now or at the end?
The requirements, I mean, it's going to be the same process as when you're getting the original mortgage. You're getting a new mortgage.
Yeah, so, yeah. And we'll cover that at the end. But essentially, if you got the loan the first time, if everything remains the same, there's not really many things to jump through at all. It can be easier usually, but it's not under. But is it not under refinanced?
Let's cover this in the Q&A because then we can unmute you and you can talk to us. And
yeah, that'd be easier probably.
Yeah.
Question. So, who's heard of a home inspection and appraisal? And who here thinks they are basically the same thing? If you think they're the same thing, say yes in the chat or type Y in the chat. All right. Maybe everyone knows the difference. Now, a lot of people do get these two things confused. It's usually about 50-50. And it makes sense because both happen during escrow. They both involve somebody coming out to the property and to assess the home, but they do serve completely different purposes, as you might know. Both are in place to protect you, but they're both very important, but they're just not the same thing. Asia, you want to cover the difference?
Yeah. All right. So here's the difference. On the left, you have the home inspection. The purpose is to evaluate the condition of the property, how everything is functioning, what may need repair, and what you should be aware of before you fully commit to buying a home. If issues come up during the inspection, that's where negotiations happen. And depending on the severity, we may be able to ask the seller for repairs or credits towards those repairs. Okay, now on the right, you have the appraisal. This is ordered by the lender, and the goal isn't to find flaws, it's to confirm that the value supports the purchase price. The lender is only going to lend on what the home is actually worth. And ultimately, the appraisal is put into place to protect you as well. So, again, inspection is to confirm the condition, appraisal is to confirm the value, different purposes, different roles, but both are important. And I do see some questions. Is it possible to get a 3% rate? Let's cover that in the Q&A because yes, that's gonna that's the 2 points that we wanted to cover.
Yeah.
And we can show you how. Oh, yeah. Okay. Nate, you answered. Got it.
Yeah. And so we're going to get back to all these here at the end here. It's coming up here very shortly.
Okay, so how to succeed as a VA buyer. Okay, this is where it all comes together. If you want to win as a VA buyer, it is not about luck, it is about strategy. So, first off, use a lender who actually understands VA loans. You want somebody who does them consistently. That is going to make a huge difference in speed of closing and confidence of the seller in accepting your offer. That lender should get you fully pre approved and ideally fully underwritten before you even submit an offer. And that just means they are going to ask you for everything up front. So there's no questions whatsoever. And when we tell the seller that you're solid and we can educate them on where you are in the process with the lender, that is a huge part of our negotiation power. Next, understanding the VA appraisal process. It is not difficult, like we mentioned, but you need to know how it works. Shorten timelines whenever possible. If we can close a loan in 10 days, we're going to say it. We don't want to keep that a secret because speed builds leverage. And this is how we beat out the other 3 to 4 offers almost every single time. It's a huge part of our negotiation power. And it even helps us compete against cash offers. I think we mentioned that before. So use an agent who knows how to position VA buyers properly and can educate the listing agent if needed. A lot of resistance typically disappears once the sellers and listing agents understand the facts. Okay, you guys, it's not about just outbidding somebody on price. You should not always just give the seller more money like a lot of agents are going to tell you. When you have flexible terms and you have short timelines, we can get the seller to take your offer based on how we present those terms. VA buyers win all the time. You just have to approach it the right way.
All right. So now let me ask you, after hearing all this, how do you feel now about the VA loan? Do you feel a little more clear about how the loan actually works? More confident about competing in this market? Prepared for the next step? Who knows? Who feels better about this whole thing? Drop in the chat about how you're feeling. What were we here before? Not confident. Do you feel more confident? We heard neutral. Can we have a rehab cost included in the loan? We've done that. It's been done, right?
There are loan options that do that. I'm not sure that we can get that with a 0 down payment VA loan combined, but there are loan options with low down payments that we can. Yes, there are options. That would be a conversation to have with the lender.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can coordinate that for you with the lender.
Yeah. So, anyway, like who feels this was a good use of their time? Drop a yes in the chat if so. And I mean, who feels confident in the ability to buy a home using the VA loan? All right, we got yes. Who are eligible for VA loan? Great question. We're going to cover that right now. We're at the end here. So who's excited about the next step? We're going to cover all these questions right now and tell you exactly what to do next. Asia, we mentioned something at the beginning.
Yep. As we mentioned at the beginning, we do have a gift for you guys. As a thank you for sticking around for the entire class, we are offering everyone who books a call with us tonight and who ends up working with us a guaranteed $500 credit towards the purchase of a new home. That means that we guarantee that we will negotiate the seller to cover a minimum of $500 for you. If we are not able to get the seller to cover $500, we will personally cover this cost for you. That's a $500 value just for showing up for yourself tonight. And if you guys are excited and ready to get started, please drop it in the chat. Let us know. We want to know how you're feeling. How was tonight? Did you learn a lot?
All right, we got a thumbs up.
Angelica, yes. We're gonna drop a link here in a minute, and you can book that one-on-one, and we can go over your specific circumstance. Is there a max amount?
We can cover that question as well right now.
What was that?
I said we can cover that question as well here in Q&A or on a one-on-one. Here, I can put the booking up right now.
So how can we help you now? Are there any specific questions that you guys have? Are you ready to chat one-on-one to go over your specific situation? Are you ready to dive deeper into the buying process and what your next steps are for buying a home? That's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys. And if you're ready to take the next step, go ahead and tap the button, book your no obligation 15-minute call with us now. That is going to be your next step towards purchasing a home here in San Diego. We will go over your specific situation and we'll walk you through the next steps. We will get you on the track to home ownership. And we start with just a quick 10 to 15-minute call to get the ball rolling. We could be looking at homes as soon as this week if you guys are ready. So who's ready? Go ahead and tap the button now to book that call. And don't worry, we're still going to go over the Q&A here in a second. Lori, we are going to answer your question about if there is a max amount.
And then go on.
Oh, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, who are eligible for the VA loan. We'll go over that as well. But yeah.
And then go ahead and if the thing didn't pop up, I'll pop it up one more time here. If you did already book, you might be if you're on your phone, you might be in a separate window and you might be hearing us talk right now, but you're just seeing the scheduling thing. We're still here because we're going to do a Q&A to cover your questions here. So what you do is just, if you're on a phone, you can back out and just switch windows and you'll see us in the other window. And
go to your tabs and you'll go back to the last tab. Okay, Angelica, awesome. You already scheduled. Cool. Perfect.
And yeah, we'll cover that.
We'll cover your exact situation. That'll be good.
So we got people booking here, and we want to give everyone an opportunity to book here. So we'll just leave this up here and post it for another, I guess, 20 seconds, maybe something like that. And then we'll jump into Q&A. So if anyone has a question, we'll let them speak or just type it out, and we can cover these really good questions we got.
Yep. So go ahead and take a second. If you guys haven't booked a call, you can go ahead and book that right now.
And if anyone can't see it, I know we've had that issue before with pop-up stuff like that. If anyone can't see it, just drop it in the chat. We can send you a link for that in like another way. But yeah. I think we worked that kink out pretty well. So let's see here. Has everyone got a chance? Looks like we got a lot of people booked already. Do you want to go over some of the questions?
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. So I wanted to answer, Lori, your question of, is there a max amount? So when you speak with the lender, you're going to go over all of your specific information, and they may have a limit for you. Now, there is no limit for the VA loan. You can buy any price home with the VA loan. Technically, it's 0% down up to 1.2 million. And then anything over 1.2 million. So let's say you purchase a home for 1.3 million, that $100,000 you have to put down 25% of. So you would have to put $25,000 down on a $1.3 million home. So that's how that works, but there's no limit specifically. Now, if you're working with a lender and your numbers might look different, they may cap you at 800,000 or at $1 million or whatever number they're going to cap you at. And then also you may be qualified to 1.5 million and you may only want to spend, $4,000 a month. And so that will cap your purchase price too. So there's a lot of different options, but hopefully that answered your question. Let me know if that did not answer your question, but I think that should have.
And in our one-on-one, it'll make a little more sense. We'll be able to we won't be speaking to a group, so we'll be able to make it a lot easier, and you'll know exactly how that works.
You guys also asked who is eligible for the VA loan. Um, I don't know right offhand. I don't recall what the exact specifics are, but if you are a veteran or you were active duty, they do have a couple of minimal requirements within that, but almost everybody is eligible. So
Active duty, veteran.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Um, Again, you will have to qualify with the lender, so they are going to require you to, have an income or a certain, that there's different requirements for everyone. They're going to look at your debt, they're going to look at your income, they're going to look at your credit score, they're going to look at everything as a whole, and then they will tell you specifically what you qualify for.
Um, does that answer your question on the who's eligible?
Oh, Lori, you got kicked out. Did you miss? I went over your question. I want to make sure that you heard. Oh, you missed it?
Okay.
Okay. So to answer your question, there's technically no loan. There's no limit for the VA loan. You can buy a home with zero down up to 1.2 million. And if you purchase a home for 1.3 million or anything above, that difference between 1.2 and 1.3, you have to put down 25% of that. So you would have to put down $25,000 if you purchased a $1.3 million home. Does that make sense? And then, okay, great. And hopefully that answered your question. I also was saying that with the lender specifically, they're going to go over your information and they may have a limit for you. So they may say, okay, with your income and your debt, your credit score, whatever, all the numbers they're going to go over, they may say, okay, you qualify for 800,000, or they may say you qualify for 2 million and you only want to spend $4,000. So you may cap yourself at a certain amount. So lots of kind of different variations for that. We did have some questions about, can we get the rates down to 3.3%? I saw, I think, a 2.8% question in there. Let's see.
Two different questions. So one of them we're going to cover. One was a VA assumable, and the other one was, can we get the rate down? Now, we did not cover the rate buy down yet, which is probably more often used right now. If we want to cover that, how a rate buy down works and how far we can get that rate down.
Yeah. So there's a couple different rate buy down options. So a rate buy down essentially means that either you or the seller pays to buy the interest rate down. So let's just, for ease of numbers, say the interest rate is 6%. We may be able to get the seller, if there's no competition, we may be able to get the seller to pay for you to have a few different options of buy down. So there's a basic buy down where you can buy the rate down depending on how much money that you want to pay for it, or we can get the seller to pay for it. They'll buy down the rate, let's say from 6% to 5%. Okay. And that would stay 5% for the life of the loan. There's a 2-1 buy down, which means you or the seller can pay for 2% lower the first year. So it would go from 6% to 4%, 1% the next year. So it goes from 6% to 5%. And then the remainder of it will be at 6%. The beauty of those are you may be able to refinance by the time it gets down to, or gets back up to 6%. You might have the opportunity to refinance back down if rates drop that low. Now, there's also a 3-2-1 buy down, which works the same as a 2-1 buy down, but you buy it down 3% in the beginning. So it would be 3% for the first year, 4% for the next year, 5% for the next year, and then 6% for the remainder of the loan. And again, that would buy you time to where you might be able to refinance into a lower rate down the line. So that is rate buy down. Does that make sense? Does that answer your guys' question in regards to if you are able to get a 3% loan or rate, I guess, on your loan right now?
And it can be kind of a confusing topic, but I know you asked that question, and if another question regarding the rates, make sure that you book a call, a one-on-one, and we'll be able to explain that in a lot more detail about your specific situation and times we've been able to use that. again, every situation is different, but it is something that's possible. Are we going to guarantee 3%? It's more of a lender question, but we can certainly get that rate down farther than most.
Well, it's partially the lender, but it's partially us negotiating on your behalf, just depending on what the competition is on a property. So the great news for you guys is that over the past, 15 plus years, it has been a seller's market, but just in the past year, it has shifted for the first time in a really long time into a buyer's market. And that just means that you have more negotiation power and there's less competition on properties now because rates did just dip a little bit and we are going into the busier season. It does bring on a little bit more competition. So if a home is in really good condition and it's priced really well, you still will have competition on it, but there's a lot less homes like that and you have more negotiation power on a lot more homes. So you are in a really great position right now as a buyer to buy.
I had a buyer because for what 26 about 5 years ago, it was a completely different story. It was crazy. It was sellers got everything they wanted. We had a client that literally, I think they called it Disney. It felt like Disneyland right now because they're getting almost anything they want. It is truly a great time to be a buyer and not as great a time to be a seller right now.
Yeah.
He referred to it as Disneyland. I thought that was kind of funny.
Okay, there was also a question about loan assumptions, so we can go ahead and cover that as
Great
well.
question.
So yes, if and actually VA loans are one of the few loans that you're able to assume. Is it FHA and VA that you can assume? Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so if you find a home, a condo, a home that you guys like, and there is an FHA or a VA loan on the home, and they have a low percentage. Now the seller has to agree to this, but you are able to assume that loan at 3%. So let's say that they bought the home, well, if it's at 3%, right? Whatever rate that the loan is at. So if they bought the home 5 years ago and they got a 3% interest rate, and that's what they're locked in at, the home has definitely gone up in value over the course of that time. So it gets a little bit tricky with the zero down payment option, because if you're assuming their VA loan, let's say the house was worth 600,000, then it's gone up to 850,000 now. There's a big difference, right? So you can always get a second mortgage to cover that gap, but you might have a down payment with that. So it probably wouldn't be 100% zero down like you typically would with a VA loan. If let's see. No, I'm just thinking you could use your entitlement for it though. So it would be more desirable for a seller to give up that loan, that interest rate, because you could put it essentially under your entitlement if it's a VA loan. That unlocks it for them. So it just makes it more desirable for them. So it is a better option if you are able to buy if you have a VA eligibility. So
And
you're more likely to have your offer accepted and be able to assume that loan, essentially, is what I'm saying.
And Angelica, I know we have an appointment booked. We're going to go over, especially with you, closing costs and the different ways to add that into the mortgage, and then as well as we go into specific situations of how these assumables work because it's pretty kind of complex. So we'll go over that with you, Angelica, on our appointment. All right, so we didn't offer this out. I know we said people can speak. We can let people speak. So if you have a question, well, let me ask you this. Is there anything that we did not cover that you heard or you were wondering about the VA loan or just how to buy a home in general, whether it regards the loan, the down payment, closing cost, the process, the timing? Let us know. Go ahead, type it out in the chat or just raise your hand if you know how to do that, or just say, I want to speak in the chat. Whatever it is, we can press a button and allow you to speak. All right, Angelica, we're going to open that up for you right now.
I think
Angelica has to accept that as well.
you need to maybe raise your hand and then we can answer.
Well, I pressed a button. I think there she is. She's here.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. So I have a quick question. So in terms of like the funding fee, because I have my certificate of eligibility, for the VA loan, and it says that I'm exempted from the funding fee, and so I'm wondering how that would go in the process and how like obviously I know you mentioned the funding fee is technically part of the closing cost. Um, and so I was like, okay, well, if I'm exempted, what is the process to make sure that, like, I guess that's applied in there? And also, I found out that I'm exempted from property taxes. And so that was another thing that, like, I would like to know, I guess, the process on making sure that's, like, being applied as well, I guess, you
Yeah.
know?
So, yep. Uh, so I think all of those things are going to fall into place as we get closer to it. It's nothing that you have to do up front. That's just
Mm,
information that we're going to discuss with the lender. And then in
mm,
regards to your property taxes, there will be some forms that you're going to have to fill out at the time of the purchase.
okay.
But yeah, we'll walk you through all of that, and you don't have to worry about it right now. But yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
and
all of that would get covered.
yeah, and based on what you're saying, it's all sounds that all should be exempt. We definitely are going to confirm that with a lender and make sure nothing's changed. Lending regulations change all the time. Also,
okay.
people hear different things and it gets perceived a certain way, but I know we've done that in the past. So we will cover that on our call, and we'll also I'm going to confirm with my lender ahead of time too, and just make sure that that's still under regulations, all that. But everything you said makes a lot of sense.
We'll
So
confirm all that.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Anybody else? That's a very good example of speaking, because that would take a while to type out. Anybody else have something? Oh, rehab, Lori. I think we're going to cover that. That is a very specific question. We have a call booked with Lori. We're going to cover that with you one on one, because that has little quirks to it, but it's definitely doable. Excuse me if I butcher your name. I don't think I don't think Siliphath is still here. Anybody else? Questions before we get off? I'm going to drop for anybody else who hasn't booked a call yet or one on one for their specific situation. I just dropped a link up there. It'd be no obligation. It is just like this to talk to us one on one. Some people don't want to talk about their situation in a group, which I completely understand. And that's what we're here for, is to just for a quick 10-minute phone call. So I dropped that link in the chat. And after you click that link and you're still hear a voice, if you're on a phone, you can just go back out of there, go to the window, and you'll see us again. And
that's not just for Q&A. I mean, we're answering a lot of questions now. That's just not just if you have questions. That's actually the next step that would
right.
be towards purchasing a home. So if you guys are ready to make the jump, even if you're not ready, you just want to kind of have a chat with us, and we can figure out where you are in the process. We can kind of get you prepared for if it is down the line a little bit later. It's just the next step where we can guide you in the right direction, just get you moving forward and get you prepared for when you are ready.
Yeah. And a lot of times we'll jump on the call and some people will find out that they heard something that didn't exist and they're a lot closer than they thought. And they may find out that they're farther out than they imagined. And either way, what you'll know is you'll have a clear path no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's the real benefit of booking a call with us, is just figuring out exactly where you're at specifically.
Yep. All right. I think that we've probably successfully gone through all of your guys' questions. And now your job is to tell us what you want in a new home. So book that call. And when we're on the call, you guys tell us what you really want. And it's our job. Let us figure out how to make that happen. And thank you.
Thank you.
As well. Thank you guys so much for hopping on here tonight. Quick and easy, 1 hour in and out. Hopefully you learned a lot, and hopefully, we're looking forward to talking to a lot of you, and, we're really excited. So good for you guys for taking this next step. And again, thank you for spending the time with us tonight.
Thanks for being chatty and bring your questions up. I love that.
Yes,
It makes it a lot more. Makes it better for everybody.
for sure.
So awesome. Well, hey, we'll do it one more time in case anybody who has not booked yet, we'll put it up there. And thank you so much. We look forward to talking to all you with your one-on-one call.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Have a great rest of your week.
Have a great night.
And hopefully you had a good St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. Feel free to drop off if you need to, and we'll end this call here in a minute.
We always have a straggler with one last question before they go. So we wait. All right. It's just you there, bitten. Get any questions? Have you booked your? Here, I'll drop it one more time. There's the link if you have a question for a no obligation call. Or if you want to speak, just let us know. You're the only one here. Wait, no, we have a few people here still. All right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I think we're good.
Oh, thank you so much. We look forward to talking to you.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.